Thank you.
Thank you so much, the director of the microphone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. I am from the village, just in case I breach the protocol, you forgive me. I will tell a story. For the last 9 years I've been in leadership. By way of introduction, my name is Dr. Dick Nwamanyaka. I'm the president of Uganda National Farmers Federation. Uganda National Farmers Federation is a bottom-up institution from the village up to the top, where to lead it, you start within your village farmers association. That is from Mubare Kashari for my case. Then you go to the parish, you chair the parish executive committee, you go to the sub-county, and then you go to the district. I'm also the chair of the District Farmers Association. And then from there, the delegates select you to lead the national level if you are successful, if you are convincing enough. I am a smallholder farmer with farming with my mother. We have 70 dairy cows and generate around 250 liters of milk on a daily basis. The reason why I speak here, I was asked to share an experience from leading an industry. I precisely had had a debate with a senior policymaker. I said, all of us almost were in the farming sector or dependent on the farming sector. He said, no, the farmers are very few, but in the spirit of the president's focus on 39% of Ugandans, 39% of 45 million people, how many could that be? But my statistics indicate that I lead 4.5 million households in the country that are in subsistence. What are the characteristics? The ministry representative mentioned about characteristics. I want, in case this villager disorganizes your workshop, there are two main take-homes that I would like to be picked. Two main words, and they will end up with investable opportunity. Number one, what is fragmentation? And then the second one is the achievement gap. Fragmentation leads to achievement gap. The 4.5 million households by the statistics by Uganda Bureau of Statistics, I think the average household is 5.7 people, something like that. So if you do the math, we are above 20 million farmers in this subsistence, what the president calls chida choka. We work for the stomach. What have I seen? Number one, I would consider the risk perspective, because Rise and Sarah are about turning risk into opportunities. That's what I understood in the last 6 hours I've been here. I've had 6 contact hours. Now, risk into opportunity. Risk number one in my industry is organizational capacity risk. Incapability to organize ourselves. I left school in 2016 thinking, my last degree, thinking that I left Geneva, thinking that I'm going to turn around, revolutionize the smallholder farming industry. But when I reached here, and the bank, UDB, can testify how many loans you've given to smallholder farmers, because of the fragmentation, small enterprises, crop enterprises, livestock enterprises, scattered all over and in unfeasible, unbankable operations. Organization to organize them and reduce the transaction costs of dealing with them has been a big problem. So as the keynote speaker spoke, I was excited looking for opportunity to overcome organizational capacity risk, which is actually summing up fragmentation in the smallholder farming industry. The same with interveners. They are also fragmented all over. We've got all the people trying to solve smallholder farmers' problems, including myself, including the bank, including the government. And up to now, I think the president has succeeded because the Chidachoka was 69 before OWC came in. Now they are 39. The ministry can verify. But my sight in the last 9 years, I have not moved a stone. So organizational capacity risk is a key issue to look at and see how RISE and SELA can help us turn this. Unfortunately, let me move forward. Apart from fragmented enterprises, fragmented smallholder farmers, we have the second, which is production risks associated with adverse climate conditions. The smallholder farmers that I lead, or even the entire country, 95% of our production is rain-fed. And rain-fed without agronomic data is not bankable. For opportunity for RISE here, we need to look at the climate risk and the associated opportunities that come with solar irrigation and other mitigation measures. The second, the third risk is input and input fragmentation and counterfeit or poor market development of the input markets. The high cost of inputs for smallholder farmers. I am pointing out areas in which RISE will find investable opportunities based on my experience. Every smallholder, the minister's representative testified, said, most of you who are in the farming sector, where do you get your seed? How can you verify it is quality seed? I can assure you, even me, even the farmers who are from the university, they cannot verify this. So there is an investment opportunity around integration of input markets. As of the current, it is market development within the input markets is a huge risk for smallholder farmers. The fourth is the output markets. The output markets for smallholder farmers, and these poor output market development is the reason why we are subsistent, because we don't have incentives to increase our productivity. And because of that, this risk keeps our achievement or productivity gap below what is bankable. For the RISE program, I am looking forward an opportunity to work with you on producing models that are going to be successful in incentivizing output that is responding to feasible output, well-developed output markets. So the investment gap here on output markets is reduce fragmentation, reduce the players, and reduce the distortion around the output markets with an intention to create incentives for the smallholder farmers. I was speaking to a friend, my neighbor seated over there, about the ability to turn the fragmented enterprises into commercial 1 acre in same village to 10 acres in same village to 100 acres that makes it fundable or bankable. The key point I wanted to make in my submission is when I submit a risk, how is it bankable in the framework of rice, in the framework of the tenfold growth strategy? The fifth is where my dear Dr. Ojangole is very important. And your numbers, you can punch the numbers in, is the financial risk. We are not bankable. And those of us who are looking for the money, and the money is the engine of enterprise, we cannot meet the due diligence requirements for being bankable. So the opportunity for RISE here is to turn the smallholder farmers. Yesterday I said usually in cattle herding, the pace of the entire herd is determined by the slowest animal behind the herd. And we are at the bottom of the value chain. Stephen was asking me, where are the bottlenecks within the value chain? We are the chief bottlenecks in the value chain. And if money does not reach us, I'm not sure the tenfold growth strategy, Mr. Minister, we are going to achieve it, because we are at the bottom of the economy, but also the foundation of the economy. And because of that, it's always a burden. Technology access, I guess the RISE is not going to be a high-level bank policy, non-accessible to my constituents of 4.5 million farms. When the keynote speaker mentioned about having a tablet, entering in data, assessing the soil, we cannot achieve data being the new fertilizer until technology is accessible, affordable, and usable by the 4.5 million farmer households on the ground. Stephen, the assignment you gave me, I tried to paint what it is now. The question for this workshop is what should be and what needs to be done. If we find a solution for fragmentation in the sector, in the value chains, along the organizational capacity of smallholder farmers, along input market development, along output market development, along financial exclusivity or financial inclusivity, along research and development, because I can lump pests and diseases and all that kind of stuff around research and development. The second key word was to be gap. There is a research access gap, there is productivity gap, all those kind of things, but all come from the fragmentation around there. So the opportunity for RISE or opportunity for us in this forum is how technology is going to enable us overcome fragmentation within the value chain and within the value chain actors within the farming sector, especially the foundational one, and then enable us develop sustainable, robust, affordable input markets, sustainable output markets, accessible finance, and then avert climate crisis. In the cattle corridor, we have a lot of prolonged droughts. In areas like Rwenzori, floods, and the like, all these are investable opportunities for RISE to fix. Just in case, so I have given the state of play. My mission here partly was to observe and hear and learn what should be done. My view on what should be done relates to my new knowledge on the package that is coming with RISE and SELA. How are things going to be done differently? How are we moving away from the state of play using SELA? I have no suggestions because I'm in class as of now. But I have take away from your speech precision agriculture that avails us with data. I have there's very scattered experiences of precision agriculture in the country. I also concur with one speaker who asked, how is SELA using the data that is locally generated based on experience? But in terms of way forward, of what can be done, I would like to pledge you to Patricia, 4.5 million partners, household, actually 21 and plus million farmers. We are going to evaluate rice in 5 years from now. I think you have a strategic plan for 5 years. Yeah, 5 years from now, and Uganda in 15 years from now. How have we succeeded in integrating the foundation of the economy within this mission? How have we succeeded in integrating smallholder farmers in a prosperous agricultural value chains? Failure to do that, I think we will have betrayed the foundations of our economy. I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dick Kamuganga, for sharing insights into the industry challenges, risks. But what is important is you mentioned that these risks are actually investable or bankable opportunities. That's very powerful. Colleagues, let's appreciate Dick again. Yeah, so Dick's submission as an industry expert ushers us into the next session on our program, and that is having a panel discussion. I request our very own Dr. Francis Mwesije, our Chief Economist and Director, Research and Knowledge Management, to take over the stage and invite the panelists over. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll stand on the existing protocols and straight away go to our next session. I'm really excited. Dr. Dick Kamuganga, you've done an amazing job. You've made my work very easy. As you took us through those 5 bottlenecks that you framed as opportunities, I thought that our conversation is going to be easy because you've set the right context. And I like it that as you presented, I was looking at where do we place those 5 broad opportunities. And those who understand the agri-value chain, how the value chain is laid out, you have the main, what you call the mainstream, the main value chain. Production, aggregation, processing, all the way to distribution. That's the main value chain, agri-value chain. But there is what we call the support component of the value chain. Those are the inputs, production technology, fertilizers, inputs, and so forth, irrigation, and the other related technology, but also finance. So as he spoke through the 5 broad challenges that include organizational risk or capacity risk, production risks, the adverse climate conditions, inputs and input fragmentation, output markets and how he described that, and then financial risk, I was already seeing the main component of the value chain well laid out, and then the subcomponents of it, which are the support components of the agri-value chain. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to note that all these components will be represented on our panel. And in no particular order, I will invite our distinguished panelists, starting with Mr. Charles Okrut, founder and executive director at GTS Solutions, who are into production of drones for agriculture. We are talking of high tech. So this is the man that is into technology production. Secondly, allow me invite John Robert Okware, country director, ASERI Africa, financing, de-risking. When you spoke to the agriculture-related hazards stemming from climate-related variability, so I thought through what financiers need and the risking instruments that we need, and Mr. John Okware here does that. Also allow me invite again Dr. Dick Nwamanya Kamuganga, the president of Uganda National Farmers Federation, I think who has already done as well, representing now the upstream segment of the agri-value chain. Also, you know, up segment of the value chain, you go down, value addition, post-harvest management, processing, distribution. We have that sector or that segment is very well represented here. And allow me on that note invite Mr. Aga Sekarara Jr., who is the chairman or CEO, Ugachik, and also chairman, Uganda Manufacturers Association. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, allow me invite someone that is into R&D. I think in your presentation, again, Dr. Dick, you spoke to R&D. How do we commercialize it? How do we make all this nice research that is done move from the labs and from the institutions to impact the agri sector or the agri-food system? And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite Professor James Peter Ogonyu, who is an agriculture professor and researcher at Busitema University. I'd have loved to look at your face, but I'm seeing an extra chair here. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, take that chair to have is it on? Great. So I think let me move by the value chain as we described it. And I would have started with Dr. Kamuganga, since he's the upstream production. But he has given very insightful comments, which I'm sure have already triggered some thinking across. So I'll now move straight to the incentives that you talked about, Dr. Kamuganga. The incentive structure for producers, output, markets. You know, in the value chain language, what is an output for farmers is an input for someone else. And so that takes us to the down part component of the agri-value chain. And on that note, I'll come to you, Mr. Agase Karara Jr., who is also a doctor in his field, to speak to the other components of the chain before we come back to Dr. Kamuganga. What do you see, and again your diagnosis, of the key bottlenecks which can form investment opportunities in agro-processing and value addition space, especially regarding automation, digitalization, use of robotics, basically use of technology, in addition to the other related opportunities?
Yes, thank you for the invitation and also for the opportunity to speak at this panel. I represent Uganda Poultry Breeders. We process and handle both live animals, which is day-old chicks, but we also manage through our cold chains thousands of chickens daily from production all the way through to the consumer. So we make sure that they are delivered through to the consumer. So we have been working with cold chains for the last better part of more than 30 years. To answer your question a little bit, in particular, what are the key bottlenecks? I think the big one and the most obvious one, but sometimes it's easy to be lost on us, is that God gave us, where we are, gave us very, very beautiful and very good weather for us, the people. We have very good temperatures. Nobody here is wearing a coat. Nobody bought a coat this morning. Unfortunately for us is that these lovely temperatures are not favorable for produce. They are actually the enemy of the produce, because the produce does not keep very well. If you were to look according to statistics, or even if you look at some of the reports from the National Planning Authority, you will find that nearly in the field of vegetable and fruit, 30 to as high as 80% of fruit and veg will go bad before it gets to the consumer. So that means it is lost, it is grown, and it actually does not reach the consumer, and then we are already suffering by not being able to have enough food. So they are that challenge. In our sector, which is the live meat, you will find that as much as 30 to 50% goes to waste in this process of what is normally termed as post-harvest handling. So the weather, which is a great attribute that we have, turns out to be a disadvantage to the produce itself. However, it is not all lost, and I also would like to, just before I point to some of the opportunities arising, and to also talk a little bit on the automation side, is a casual tour through the markets would show you that a lot of produce goes to waste. Just looking at how much ends up just being thrown by the wayside because it has ripened before the consumer could come to pick it up, would show that there are actually a lot of opportunities at some of these big marketplaces to be able to improve and increase the shelf life of some of these produce. And I think that that's where some of these opportunities that we can discuss. I I think that on automation, I think that it's always an interesting topic, but it's important to understand that there's a constant employment versus automation tension. We have to increase the amount of employment available to the large populations we have and the large youthful populations. Why? Because even though we could become very efficient, my enterprise could become maybe 10%, 15% more efficient, in the long term, it serves very little purpose if I do not create consumers for the products that I'm making. So that tension is a constant. It is a constant we have to live with. So we have to ensure that there is a certain amount of employment concurrently with a certain amount of efficiency that we can create within the system. So yes, automation, especially with some tasks, but I think currently the demand and the pressure more is actually bringing a lot more people into the employment, into the scheme, into the money economy, in order for them to purchase the products that we produce.
Interesting. Thank you. We'll be coming back to you to speak to the other aspects of processing and market access. But I think as you spoke to, we've always, I think, appreciated the weather from a different angle. But now you're speaking to how that beautiful weather also has a different side that we have to be cognizant about. And it reminded me of the statistic that food loss and waste in Uganda is in between 30 and 45% for grains, and others go up to 60%. And probably there is that one area to invest in. Imagine investing and you're producing and you lose half of your produce just because of post-harvest handling related technology and infrastructure. Now I'll come back to the upstream segment of the chain. Dr. Dick, as you mentioned, and as we know you, the spokesperson, the lead of these 4.5 million farming households. So as you spoke through the challenges, and I think as Mr. Shadrab asked us to close our eyes and imagine the lives of farmers, smallholder, using rudimentary tools and so forth. So I kept thinking through that 4.5 million households that you do represent. And following different engagements, I've also strongly had Food Rights Alliance. I think I've seen Madam Agnes Kirawu in the house, strongly speaking and voicing out issues that are facing that segment of the value chain. Now, stemming from that and from the nice introduction you've given us already, what do you see as major challenges and most speak opportunities that impact various nodes? Now we go to the nodes, because I think broadly what you spoke to was a bit of aggregated, but different nodes of that segment of the value chain and how it can help really enhance production and all through support market offtake and access. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Francis. I will make a continuation from Aga's stopped, and I'm pleased to sit nearby you. As I began to become an entrepreneur, I purchased 500 birds from Uganda, and I succeeded as a first-year student. I did agriculture economics at Makerere, and I practiced by buying Uganda layers and became an entrepreneur dichotomy. Let me use an example of post-harvest risk, which was supposed actually to be my number 6. And he mentioned food waste, wastage, post-harvest losses, ranging it for smallholder farmers. the segment, it is even much worse because it prohibits them integrating in the higher nodes of the value chain. They do not meet the threshold to integrate into the local, national, and regional and international agricultural value chains because of post-harvest losses. Post-harvest losses have multiple dimensions. It includes even standards and the like, producing what the market cannot take. This risk is very fundamental. It also distorts the intense incentive structure for the bottom, the foundational team that I lead. As long as they cannot, that's where the president simplified it, entering into the money economy. Post-harvest, even if you see it at 40, 50%, you are talking about 2-point-something million farmers who are not in the market economy. So where are the opportunities for investment in this respect, with respect to post-harvest handling? Yet with my team, with my constituents, we have initiated something we call, which we will discuss with the bank in the Rise for pipeline of projects, micro warehouses. We cannot enter into every other value chain, but there are very early harvest centers like grain. So micro warehouses, we anticipate, the minister's representative mentioned the storage facilities that are in the pipeline, but farmer-led micro warehouses can be a significant solution towards solving the post-harvest losses. And if you cure the issue of fragmentation, you integrate partners at the micro warehouse level, you funding, value addition, all as a typical. Let's look at this in a storytelling fashion. Look at this building where we are in. A typical village has around 100 households that are farming 1 acre or half an acre of maize. And this building can actually be improved at village level, at trading center level, to become a micro warehouse that stores all the produce that is produced in that small village. I've given an example of maize. Reaching the standards, because standards are also barriers to access to integration. So the aggregation in this micro store leading to a bigger store, maybe at parish level, maybe at sub-county level, where government can come in. Here, I need, Dr. Ojangole has left, but you are representative here. We need this fully owned by smallholder farmers. Micro warehouses owned by smallholder farmers. They will sort of, as I read Kama's, value addition has several dimensions. Time dimension, form dimension, and the physical geography dimension. So you are getting the produce from the garden to the micro warehouse, like maize, storing it, time dimension from the time of bumper harvest to the time of scarcity, and then we have a structured system that allows any gain in extra price returns as an incentive to the farmer. As a farmers organization, we can do this. And as a banker, this is the way in which you integrate smallholder farmers into the 10 for growth strategy. I am looking at a transformation at household level in which you have, through such a small intervention, you have transformed the productivity of a smallholder farmer. Productivity can be judged in many ways, but the return on investment is an indicator of farmers' productivity. And if it improves, it means it has even improved his motivation. So we look at There are possible uses of technology. I've had technologists here in aggregation. There are possible uses of precision farming here. There are possible, so in the long run, at village level, the bottom of the value chain will become an opportunity for transformation. Thank you.
Interesting. And I think as you spoke earlier, you spoke to the models, workable models, because as you spoke to micro warehouses as one potential model, I thought through the initiatives thus far. I've had, I think, NSSF and UDC were working out something on warehouse receipting system of some sort. I had USE, and I know Minister of Trade before had similar sort of thoughts. Of course, we always wonder why don't these models work. This is a very good one, and I think for those looking for the pipeline, the team is here from the Investments Directorate, Agriculture sector specifically. I think these are some of the things that we can pick on and discuss. So let me come to now the support components of the chain, starting with R&D. And I'm coming to you, Professor James Egonyu. How can we bridge the gap between research, put it in quotes, research on the shelf, that R&D really that never comes through, even nice R&D that we hear about, the technologies that are developed in labs. How do we transform that and bridge that gap and the actual farm level implementation, specifically again regarding the use of technology? Can use the same examples of robotics, automation, pest prediction, new irrigation technologies, new plant, more drought resistant, planting materials and so forth.
Thank you. Good afternoon, is it? Or still morning? Good morning, everyone. I'm glad that the bank leadership chose to invite me to be part of this panel. And I'm also happy to speak to all of you. James Egonyu is my name. I'm Associate Professor of Agriculture and Entomology. Traditionally thinking of how to manage pests and vectors, but transformed now to look at the useful aspects of insects. Honey is a good example, and some people like Yuga Chick may now testify about black soldier fly larvae for feeding animals as an alternative to fish and soy meal, and many other insects that are consumed like grasshoppers. In fact, I've been in the lab trying to see that senene is farmed rather than relied on from the wild. The questions that are asked, how do we bridge technology in the shelf with the end user or industry, is a hurdle that Bustema University, where I am part of, is striving to answer every now and then. We have quite, first of all, let me mention about the uniqueness of Bustema University briefly. It's the only university in Uganda established at the start as a multi-campus university with 7 campuses having different faculties and positioned in different districts across Eastern Uganda. You can actually call it the University of Eastern Uganda, and is geared, focused on science, technology, and innovation, and practical training which the industry needs. So as a university, to answer the question of research, bridging gap between research in the shelf and the industry, I can give examples of some of what our teams are doing. Definitely, as the keynote speaker gave us to close our eyes to imagine that farmer now and before and the farmer ahead, I would ask you to open your eyes and look at me as a representative of the researchers, who a number of them have technologies they've developed, but they're only displayed year in, year out. And a few of them are now struggling to make sure that they move away from this. You may have heard of the fourth generation university, where most universities in Uganda currently are third generation university, focusing on training, focusing on research for the shelf maybe, and also focusing on disseminating. But the fourth generation university is now the one who is measured in how much impact they cause to society. And that's what Bustema University strives to be. Our motto is pursuing excellence. We organize our research, some of our top research, around what I will call the 3 L's. First L is organizing what we call living labs. A living lab is similar to what RICE is doing here, bringing different stakeholders on the topic of agri-food systems to speak, to talk, and say which innovations do we need. For example, the president of the Farmers Federation is saying, we have a challenge of fragmentation. So if the innovation is being developed, does it take care of the real challenge that the end user has? So living labs are platforms where all stakeholders co-create the innovation. The second L is the Fab Lab or fabrication lab. This is now the lab, the traditional lab, where the innovation, which has been influenced by the input of different stakeholders, is being created in the lab, call it robotics, AI, and so on. So it is created to solve a problem which has been identified by everyone involved. And it cannot be created by an individual. We are talking about multidisciplinary fabrication here. So that I am an agriculturalist, I need smart technologies, I need an AI person, I need an economist to be on board to say, does it bring returns on investment, and so on. So we have research teams aligned along, doing now the fabrication, operating in the fabrication labs to develop those technologies. And then the last L is the living labs. Once these technologies are developed, we are striving to make sure that they are demonstrated, what we used to call demonstration fields. Now people have talked about farmer field schools. Lately they've added farmer business schools, so that surely it's not just training for training, but training to make money. I think to me those are some of the initiatives to answer the need to be impactful universities, but they remain opportunities that need to be supported to attain their full potential. I can say at Bustema University, we have BURIF, Bustema University Research and Innovation Fund, supported by the government of Uganda, which is about $1 billion and spread to these many campuses. It's a drop in the ocean. Look at me again. Last year, I got about 75 million to develop a technology of recycling organic waste from the city markets into biofertilizer. In fact, I registered it. It's called Bustema University Insect-Based Biofertilizer, a fertilizer product coming from recycling of waste with insects, the black soldier flies, and then you can use the insects for feeding animals, but also generate a fertilizer and many other products. So with such a seed funding, if not supported for scaling, it will end up being in the shelf. So everybody is called on, stakeholders like the bank. I'm very glad to see the bank bringing us together to think about how can we be a partner. For me, I think those are some of the insights I can give regarding bridging this gap. Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you. Yeah, an excitement. You've mentioned many exciting things. The first one being that we are looking at how we can farm senene. I had people, the excitement in the room. But I think that biofertilizer production. That's a novel innovation. And I think such, it could even be at micro level, not really a mega plant, but having them across the country, because we have a lot of waste that we are struggling with, that now we can start seeing that waste as an input, I mean, a new gold of some sort. So real interesting. We continue in the same spirit of technology discussion, and now I'm coming to you, Mr. Charles Okrut. What do you see as the biggest barriers for smallholder or mid-sized farms in adapting precision technologies like those that you do produce, and how can these tools be made more affordable?
Thank you again. Good morning. Okay, my name is Charles Okrut. I have a lot to do with technology. So we had technology innovations, especially with drones and the other kind of things. So recently in 2022, when we started up in Uganda, we decided to bring in some drones to help farmers, especially smallholders, but our biggest target was the corporates. So we enrolled companies like Kakira Sugar, Skol, and we began working with them. But we realized that the smallholders, especially the outgrowers, also needed the same services. So what we decided to do is to downscale it. We want to develop an ecosystem that enables them to afford this technology. Because right now we realize that when we come to the network, the 5G network and everything that operates in the first world countries doesn't really work here very much. So we decided to invest into satellites, first of all, because with IoT, it will help us to give a larger scale of what we want. So with technology, we help to map every farmer. We profile farmers. So apparently we are having a pilot project that is running through the eastern, that is the Elgon region, and then the Teso sub-region. So we realize that these farmers, we have to identify where their farm is. The smallholder farmers under 5 acres, so we'd aggregate them. Show us where your land is, we'll locate it via the satellite, and the IoT devices and AI will do everything. Generate the NDVI, everything, and be able to predict your yield, and then there we shall recommend. If you put what variety of crop in there, this is what you'll expect. So that ecosystem has enabled us to bring other partners on board. And working with the bank right now is something that will really turn things around, because we have what we call the virtual investment platforms, whereby someone can invest. It has worked before with World Bank and the other projects that we go with, that you invest 1 million for 1 acre, and then we have other stakeholders come in to give you the input and do everything beyond that 1 million, and it can be recovered on short term. Let me say within 3 to 4 months, you would have harvested, and we already have an off-taker who will be able to pay you upfront or advance you, and with that advance, you're able to settle everything. So the technology has been put in place to run everything, and especially with risk management. That's what we are doing right now, and we hope to onboard as many citizens, both in the urban and the rural areas, to cover this whole thing. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you. Sounds very interesting. Virtual investment platforms. I think the bank can discuss more with you, and we see opportunities for collaboration and partnership. Because I think visibility is key. And from where we started, Dr. Dick's presentation, aggregation. And if such platforms can aggregate and we have full visibility of what individual farmers are doing, it would be an interesting one. So I'll come to financing and mainly de-risking, because when Dr. Kamganga was presenting, he spoke to the risky nature of the agriculture. So we globally know this as a risky business, and as such, it has not attracted a lot of financing. What new financing technologies and risk mitigation tools are available that can mitigate the risks in lending to agriculture, and as such, make it more attractive to financiers? And this is for you, John Okware.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As introduced, I'm the country director for Agri Africa here in Uganda. And I also lead in land activation within East Africa and part of Southern Africa. And just to give you a brief background, Agri Africa is a market catalyst. So we use financial incentives to de-risk lending to agriculture for the financial institutions, and also kind of defray the costs, the transaction costs of originating these loans, and also support, building capacity of the financial institutions to be able to develop the right products and lend to this sector. And briefly, I'll also speak about the demand side, where we provide investment readiness support to SMEs to make them investable. And we supplement that with the policy work that we do with different partners. Now, it would be unfair for me to answer or jump to the, addressing the risks without giving you some kind of context. In 2023, I think AGRA and I think KPMG conducted a study in 18 countries within Sub-Saharan Africa. And 67% of the respondents said access to finance was their biggest barrier to growth. And as you're already aware, in Sub-Saharan Africa alone, we have about $75 billion dollars gap in a kind of capital or financing. And the biggest, from the supply side, the biggest challenge or barriers have largely been perceived risk, in quotes, and low return. Low return, of course, compared to the other alternative instruments like the treasury bonds. I can tell you that within East Africa, from our data, banks are earning anywhere between 4 to 7%. And that's significantly lower than the 15, 17% that the treasury bonds give. From the risk side, yes, it could be perceived, but we actually see that, as you've heard from the other speakers, there are a lot of risks down there that kind of end up making this sector look risky to the financial institutions. Now, there are many mechanisms, there are many instruments that are existing now for the banks. And unfortunately, some of these instruments have been there, but they're not causing significant change. I'll start with credit guarantees. I know many banks in the room have worked with guarantees for many years. The unfortunate bit is that the regulatory framework that we have on guarantees, does not allow for banks, to recognize these guarantees when doing impairments. And that makes these guarantees more of paper and does not kind of, enable them to change their risk appetite and inject more capital towards the sector. The good news around this is that there's already regulation that's being worked on. The UBA is working on some paper around that to ensure that guarantees actually recognized during impairment. The second instrument I want to mention is capacity building. Many banks, I can tell you, even those in the room, keep saying that we're lending to agriculture, want to lend to agriculture. But the models that are being used to lend to agriculture are the traditional models. Yeah? The products are the traditional products that are not really suited or tailored for agri. But there are many partners out there that are willing to provide capacity building to institutions. these are, opportunities that can be tapped. And speaking about models, I was in Lira about 2 months ago. So I met this input supplier. He works with close to 30,000 smallholder farmers, giving them inputs. And the bank, on top of providing finance to the SME, they're also running to provide finance to the smallholder farmers that are scattered around the north, some as far as 50 to 100 kilometers away. And I remember asking one of the SME, one of the loan officers, which part of your portfolio is very risky? He said, the small loans. And I asked him, do you know why? He said, yeah, partly because monitoring them is very hard. They are very far from the branch. There's a lot of side-selling, etc. And I challenged the manager then and said, why should we be running to the smallholder farmer to give a 1 million or 2 million facility? Can't we create this as an ecosystem of farmers aggregated within this SME, and then we can identify the different needs of these smallholder farmers and finance them through one kind of apex structure, and make sure that everything that is provided to the farmers, because their needs are inputs, that money actually goes to the SME, and SME is able to provide the inputs. And the SME can even recover from these smallholder farmers because they deal with them on a day-to-day. That kind of reduces the risk to you as a bank, and even becomes profitable because the officer doesn't have to keep riding to the smallholder farmer very far. So the models that exist can still be transformed using the aggregation model. I know Dr. Kamaganga talked about this somehow, aggregating smallholder farmers through either aggregators or circles, or so that services can reach them through those intermediaries. Now, the last two that I want to speak to here, the SMEs themselves, or the farmers. You heard about, everyone is talking about issues downstream, yeah? There's a lot of capacity and technical assistance in the market. I can tell you, I've been to several forums where people are saying we have technical assistance for SMEs or farmers, but it is the same names that that are accessing this support. I can even name them, but there are many out there in Mbarara or in Kabale or in Kitgum that actually need this support to make them investment ready, but they don't get it. So. And this is to challenge some of my colleagues here, like, Dick, that why don't we tap into these opportunities and be able, because by doing that, we are making the SMEs and the farmers investable and attractive to the financial institutions. For me, that is very, very important. Lastly on this, we talked about technology. When farmers are aggregated, and I liked what the former speaker talked about, that they can be able to profile the farmers. So imagine this SME in Lira with 30,000 smallholder farmers. If we have polygons of all their farms, and we understand how much they're going to be selling and etc., and we identify market for them, it becomes easy for the banks to rely on the data that is being collected to make financial decisions. Because at the end of the day, the banks have the money, right? But they can only invest this money if they are sure that it won't be kind of lost. So technology is a very, very important driver, especially if you want to go big scale, if you want to go, to reach the last mile. But that technology must speak to the language of the banks. The biggest challenge we have, or the mistake we make, is design these technologies without the lender's lens, because that's very critical. And this I've kept mentioning, and I keep telling most of the players that every time you want finance to go out, you should approach it with the financial institution's lens, not the researcher's lens or the academia's lens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Very interesting. I think you've scaled the discussion. You know, I thought would be more speaking to financial instruments as de-risking instruments, just like guarantees, but you broaden it and it becomes more meaningful. That to de-risk farmers, you don't just stop at financial instruments, but you go to farmer organization, technology, and other models. Thank you, that was very rich. And I think what I'm seeing already coming through as sort of a consensus is farm organization, aggregation. It seems to be one of the key models and pathways through which we can easily impact farmers, be it financing, and the bank here, UDB, can testify that it's easier to reach out to smallholder farmers through their small groupings. And we have a model where we work with a fintech solution to finance farmers organized in village savings and loan associations. And it's much easier, less costly, and interestingly, the repayment is real high. So I think the financial institutions in the house, there's something to pick from here as we continue this engagement. And so I would like to take this discussion to our dear participants here. But maybe before that, if you could provide, and I'll give an opportunity to each one of you for the areas you've spoken to speak to 1 to 3 investment opportunities, because for RISE, we are looking for pipelines. We've diagnosed the sector. We have very good proposals. Now we are looking at those key investment opportunities. And I will start with you, Mr. Sekalala Jr. In your experience, what best way can we structure projects to make them bankable and financeable in the space that you operate in?
Thank you for that. My thought would be, I would supplement my neighbor's suggestion around the micro warehouses, my thought is more towards what are called shared, affordable solar cold chain infrastructure. There is real world proof from Africa. In Nigeria, there is what they call cold hubs. They are solar-powered walk-in rooms placed at markets and farm clusters. Farmers pay per crate per day, and they would pay $50 equivalent, which is maybe 1,800 per crate. In Nigeria, they have been able to save in the last several years that this business has been in place about 14 million metric tons of food. And they have created over 100 jobs with no dependence on diesel at all. And so the cooling as a service can be rolled out across, especially starting around the markets where there is already commerce, and then moving it backwards towards the farmers' hubs where the produce is actually produced. There is also a secondary model, which is Inspira Farms in Kenya, but they are also in Kenya, they're also in Zambia and Zimbabwe. But they're also modular units. They are solar, serving nearly 200 or so producers. But these ones, the Kenyan model is around the farms. So basically, also to improve with shelf life. And the farmers will aggregate. So the tomato farmers, the cabbage farmers, the vegetable farmers would then put their produce there. It would be aggregated and then moved forward to the various areas without the challenges of all the losses that go along. So to me, as you develop models that work, you could then take that up to the next level, which could be the protein. I think in Uganda we have a milk model where milk is aggregated from the farmer areas in small collection centers. There is some form of coolers, and then it keeps on going up. And I think we've seen how much we are able to produce and export. And there is there is already a proof of concept around that. So to me, those would be my quick thoughts.
Thank you. Interesting. I already see convergence in thought. These micro warehouses, of course, you spice it up, solar powered and embedded technology. But I think the direction is clear: aggregate and then support with micro warehouses. We can come to you really, Dick. The same line. How can we support farmers adopt these technologies? But what are those bankable solutions? 1 to 3.
Thank you, Dr. Francis. My first, as I said, I was learning the concepts behind RISE, but my first recommendation is that we think of RISE ecosystem at the bottom of, or the foundation of the value chains and what ecosystem are we thinking about around the bottom or the foundation of the value chains. Then I go through the risks that I had illustrated: production risk and the climate risks. My idea here is UDB should fund or should create a RISE ecosystem around resilience packages through the RISE platform, bundling solar-powered micro-irrigation, drought-resistant seeds, soil moisture sensors. The goal is to convert the farm into a predictable production factory that produces consistent yields regardless of the season. Market risk, bridging the glut and the bust cycle. The RISE solution here is a digital traceability and techno-enabled aggregation. RISE should finance the development of digital takeoff platforms by connecting Uganda National Farmers, Village Farm Associations directly to industrial processors. We eliminate the middlemen who are here. Don't hate me for nothing, but I'm speaking for my people. And secure takeoff agreements that serve as a forward-looking guarantee for the bank. My neighbor, we will be engaging in a lesson because through our conversation, I've learned a lot of things. Thank you for exposing me here to him. The village there has its own risks, especially intellectual isolation. Financial risk, the data as the new land title. The reality here is the Colorado gap remains the biggest barrier for my constituency, 4.5 million households that can provide land title to secure industrial scale loans. So the solution here is transitioning from psychometric to agronomic credit scoring. UDB should pilot data for credit program with the RISE mission. If a farmer uses UNIFE verified digital tools to track their planting, input use, harvest, and the data should be accepted as soft collateral. Here, the ecosystem, I've already seen who we are going to partner with, the precision guys, all this, the profiling of our farmers, and then the data lab, combining data and finance lab. We can do fantastic things. I'm ready for breakfast meeting tomorrow. Post-harvest risk, the actionable use community, this is my warehouse idea. We will take it up from there. I think for me, those are the key issues that I propose and recommend. Thank you.
Very interesting. Kindly share that list. I tried to take notes. It was long and interesting, but very rich, very rich. And I think our rapporteurs for today have captured very rich and enlightening information. And these are all potential investment areas. And I know there's that theory of creative destruction that as you improve systems, some businesses die. So our aggregators don't take it in bad spirit. I think it's in that mode of creative destruction that you might reorient these aggregators to even be more impactful. So we shall go to you, Robert, John Robert Okware, just again to speak to how we can transform high-tech pilot projects into scalable and investment-ready solutions. Because I know in the de-risking space, there's a lot that is being piloted, tested. How can we scale that to impact farmers? In addition, probably to the model you've all already spoken to.
Yes, thank you very much, Francis. I think for me the starting point, if we are to scale, is just to ensure that, you know, whatever technology model that we have, you know, is predictive enough to address the risk concerns of the banks, of financial institutions. I can tell you, about 15 years ago, there's one of the companies, I think what was the first in Uganda here that was doing profiling. And it closed, I know, the company closed. But they spent about 4 years doing their own things. Then when they came to the bank, I remember, I told them, no, whatever you have does not make sense. There are variables that you've not picked that are very critical for me to make a financing decision. So that is very, very important, and I'm emphasizing that let's have the banks in the equation. And secondly, we need capital in this whole thing. However good your technology is and whichever, we need money. Who has the money? Who has the balance sheet? It's the financial institutions, the banks. I know even the banks don't have enough. Most of the money they have is short-term money. And, you know, if the technology is good and there is partnership with the banks, so what we are looking at as ASERI and UBA is to aggregate capital. How do we bring money into the economy? We did a demand for wholesale credit assessment last month, and we found out that the banks, just the banks alone, have a gap of about $400 million on top of what they have of long-term capital. And so the idea is over the next 10 years, we want to aggregate about $1 billion. So if there's a collaboration between the fintechs and the banks, and then you have UDB on the other hand, if we aggregate this capital, then this capital can be pushed down to scale these innovations. So I think the key point here is, let's focus on refining the innovation, let there be collaboration, because the fintechs may have the solutions, but the money is with the financial institutions. Let there be that. I know you've said you've piloted. Can this happen with all the, the financial institutions? Because that way, then it improves the model that is being used, or that will be used to channel this capital downstream to the smallholder farmers. And that way we can be able to scale. Thank you.
Thank you. Connecting the dots across, very interesting. Now I come to you, Chaz. With that, the technology you're already deploying, what other new technologies exist that financials should consider when making financing arrangements for players in the agri-food space, from your perspective as a technology tech developer?
Thank you very much. I think besides looking at what is outside the box, let's first look at what is made available. Because as far as I know, the government through UCC has played a big role. Given that one, UCC authorizes each individual to have up to 10 SIM cards. They have a reason for that. And by us going down to smallholder farmers, who even sometimes don't know how to use the phone, so they will afford a small phone. and they'll get a line. So the challenges we have there is they try to solve these problems manually by borrowing and doing everything. So by having this line, what we intend to do, or what we are doing already, is we allow you to use your phone as a basic, because we're looking at investing in you and you're trying to upgrade from subsistence into farming as a business. So using that model, we use your phone, one, to capture your information. You invest, you put your money in any mobile money of your choice, and then you remit to the platform. When it comes to the platform, we're able to trace how you're saving, because we are moving it from the manual VSL style of saving. At least deposit money in your mobile money, then we provide a till where your group will all be saving together. Now, in that process, the bank is able to verify that, one, this group is actually saving and the money is available. So this one works for both the physical groups in the village and then the virtual groups that invest. You choose just a group to work with and you're okay, you're sorted. Now, with the technologies available, we clearly integrate them and try to see that if your satellite profile is working well, for example, in Kaberamaido in the village, and you're still using the same available technology, and you're still identified as an individual, because when you register that line, you take your national ID, so at least there we know who has done this. And on the back end, it helps us to safeguard against the money laundering and every kind of thing. So we know who has picked which money and put there for what purpose. So if now the bank comes in and provides, let me say, financing to 10 smallholders, we know they're going to give them 1 million. That is a batch of 10 million. So with the 10 million, we're looking at like 100 farmer groups in a scale of 100 farmer groups in a scale of 6 months. So that's about 1.2 billion for a bank to invest in. So once that is put, it is guaranteed that we are tracking you as an individual, how you're saving weekly, whether you're dealing in coffee in the long term, whether you're dealing in vegetables, in chicken and everything. It is your weekly saving that gives the bank the guarantee to know that you're actually actively utilizing that. So the platform that we use for transacting is actually supported with the Bank of Uganda, whereby they trace every money that moves. And even we create at first level, they subscribe to CUG. For those of you who don't understand, CUG is a caller user group, whereby a farmer freely communicates. As per the recent research, it shows that many farmers do not follow the news or something. They listen to radio, but most of their communication is farmer to farmer. So we provide the CUG where a farmer pays 5,000 and they can call anyone in their network for free for the full month. Once your subscription is done, you become dormant. And then any of your group team members who has activated can call you, so it cuts off that one. So that technology is available. The banks are working closely with us. We can send money or receive from any bank, so a farmer doesn't have to be limited to one particular bank that is saying, if you don't bank with us, we can't give you this. They can work with any bank of their choice, and they're able to be profiled easily, and they're able to know who is buying from them. And when these aggregators trace, these off-takers can be able to give an upfront advance, and it comes to their till. The money is accessed to them when they need it, when it is approved. So that is how the system works. That is with the available technology in here. So anything beyond that, I think UDB and other financiers have more than enough resources and money to do that. So we do the digital literacy so that there is no gaps in there, to the point that we have even communities working with these villagers or farmers who speak a local language without any other. So we make sure everything is done, the system is translated, so the technology is available in that realm.
Interesting. The story is getting complete now. Organize farmers, do micro warehouses, cold chain solar powered, use digital platforms that are already being piloted or used elsewhere, embed in your de-risking instruments, and then you're ready to run. And of course, you can have Sarah in the background to use this information to easily appraise and unlock financing from the different financial institutions. Interesting. And lastly now to you, Professor Egunyu, to speak to how development banks and other financiers can support the rollout and uptake of these R&D investments, specifically looking at those heat-tolerant crops, water management, and others that you have. How best can we work with financiers? And really looking at commercialization, less on, I know most people would discuss of seed capital, grants, but let's make now these investments bankable. What proposals do you have? One or two? And then we open it up to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the first realization that we have technologies on the shelf is a plus for us. It's now time to use the approach these established football leagues do to come and fish our footballers, national footballers, football stars. I think let's map out these technologies. Let's identify these value chains of strategic interests. And like I said, let us work together to support consortia that bring together different stakeholders to sustain research and innovation efforts towards these selected technologies. Secondly, I want to pick up on the common talk now about industrializing the researcher. We went through COVID and all of us ran after a certain product produced locally, and I think somehow there were questions to the producers that what can we do to make sure this can reach everyone? That's a common story. Can the same approach be done to make sure that the researcher, I'm here with our Dean for Engineering, you will go there, you'll find solar drying technologies, chicken defeathering technology, and granite, picking technology, all these. Can we support a model that makes sure that the researchers behind this are part of the commercial value chain, rather than leaving it in the shelf and learning from that example that I cited? And then thirdly, I also want to say that as we support technology innovation, let's also support technology uptake. We talked about digital technologies, irrigation systems, the drone, and so on. Those are exciting things, but how can a farmer, an end user, be supported on one side to pull out this technology? To me, those are my 3 points.
Thank you very much, Prof. To our dear participants, I'll need the timekeeper to signal when it's time, but I think now it's our time to hear your suggestions, proposals, questions, if any, as we wind up this very interesting discussion. I'm already seeing 3 hands. Oh, okay, quite many. I'll start with the ladies. Yes, hers, then we come here to Madame Agnes, and then there's one here. Then we do a second round. Maybe we take 4. Okay, technology is failing us. I wish I could lend some my voice. I can without it. Yeah, I think we can hear you. I think.
an independent consultant. Right now, I was invited by Food Rights Alliance. I'm supporting them with some work. And by training, I'm an irrigation engineer, very passionate about that. I would like to draw our attention to a key point. We've been talking, and we are talking about fragmentation on the farmer's side. But then I would like to draw us to our lack of coordination as the different stakeholders. When Mr. Okrut was speaking, I was just imagining in my head how many developers are in Uganda doing work that has already been done by someone else. And here I would like to propose to Mr. Collins that we need a guiding framework. As we talk about digitization and how we are transforming agriculture, we need a framework that this is where we want agriculture to go. And how are we going there? Can we map these different actors within the supply chain? And in project management, we talk about increments. I'm a certified project management professional. If we say that this is where, as financiers, we are supposed to go in the agriculture sector, and UDB is contributing this much, then this other company X will come and make an increment to this, and we get there by end of this particular period. So that would take us far, instead of having very many of us doing our small things and still complaining that, you know, we are not functioning. The agriculture sector is not growing because we are not coordinated. So I would call for more coordination, and if you ever thought what I'm proposing is impractical, I would like to invite you to EUDR compliance. When compliance was first raised in Uganda, we were I was part of a team that was, you know, doing our thing as different stakeholders, making sure that farmers are compliant. But as of last year, when I attended a meeting, and the commissioner came up and said, compliance is a responsibility of Uganda as a country, because when a cooperative is flagged that they are not compliant, it's not a risk to that cooperative. It's a risk to Uganda as a country. So imagine if EUDR, as a requirement for traceability, was taken on by a department within MAIF, and they are giving guidelines that we are mapping out these farmers, and we are the ones issuing a due diligence statement. So whoever you are, if you're a stakeholder and you're coming in here, come, we are guiding, and we have the onus for traceability. So this is doable. We can be coordinated, we can drive this sector, and we can contribute further to this economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. So we can, yes.
Okay, do I need to stand up, maybe? Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Agnes Kirabo is foodie. You said the circle is complete. It is not. And this is where we get it wrong. And somebody here said, I think it was Mr. Okwari, who has the money, who has the balance sheet? He said the banks have. Who is supposed to give you the money to pay back? It is the consumers. It is the people that are supposed to consume your products. Then you make a return and pay back the balance sheet person. Part of the problem we've lived with is driving our agri-food system based on commodities, and yet markets consume products. And I therefore wish to suggest that if the strategic time for RISE, the first strategic time is 5 years, if you want to know how short 5 years can be, ask a politician. And if it is indeed short, I think take the bitter pain and make a priority, such that you're not inviting everyone everywhere. If, for instance, all these people would line up behind AGA, and we know that for the first 5 years of RISE, we focused on this particular area and this particular area. Whoever wishes to be part, please align yourself along that. And then at the end of the day, we ask ourselves, who is going to eat the chicken parts that Aga is producing? And which kind of chicken parts does she or he needs? What does the market require? Then my doctor here will organize the farmers. Whoever is doing the drones will drone around the whatever and whatever. And whoever is researching will research along that. And then for me, I will cross my legs as a consumer and wait for that chicken part. Then at the end of the day, I'll be able to pay, and all of you will be able to pay back, and then UDB will be able to flourish, because I believe we are discussing business here and not charity.
That's true.
We are discussing business and not charity. Therefore, we cannot scatter our investment everywhere. Dick talked about fragmentation, and I agree with you, we are all fragmented, even in thought. So I'm here asking that, can we consolidate ourselves, take a risk that government of Uganda has failed to take at large? We always come up with a shopping, laundry list of commodities and whatever, and here we realize we have 5 years. Let us say, if we go the Mauritius way and say, we put our 5 years in sugar, we are sorry for X, we are sorry for Y, but this is how we have moved, and I believe if we get more money, then we can also move this way and that way. And lastly, we consumers today in Uganda, I think who was here yesterday, NPA, and talked about the tenfold, and somebody sometimes said we are in middle class, increasingly we are eating healthy, and we want to eat safety. So it is not any other technology. We are talking about food-graded technology. So UDB, you can consider to invest in food-graded technology because the consumers are available and they are willing to consume healthy, and we are willing to consume safety. Dick said is assuring rise. How many farmers? 4 million households?
4.5.
4.5 million households. I want to commit to RISE, the power of coordination. I wish to commit to RISE, the power of the learning labs. We've been calling them change labs at FRA. We wish to commit to RISE, the power of stakeholder dialogue and conversation, provided we are organized and not we are stagnated everywhere.
Wow, amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm hearing commitments, not just comments and questions, but also commitments. Thank you so much, Madam Agnes.
Honorary Professor of Development.
Honorary Professor of Development, indeed. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Barbara Zawe Demgwanya. I work with the National Agriculture Research Organization, and I'm representing the Director General. And I want to speak to the question that was given about the bridge in research and it was the bridge with research and transformation of agriculture. I want to start from where Agnes has stopped, talking about the fact that we are very uncoordinated, and that is bringing a very big challenge. Dick said that we need to work closely with the farmers. But similar to what Agnes has just said, many cases as research, we focus on one of our clients and forget the other clientele. And that creates a problem with the products that we bring on board. Therefore, if we are to move forward agriculture, we need, and the food systems, we need to make sure that all stakeholders are brought together. And we come up with an agenda that actually addresses what Agnes needs, not what Dick needs. Because Dick will not make money if Agnes doesn't eat what Dick is giving her. So we need to do that. And as NARO, we want to commit that we have the technologies. We have developed a lot of technologies that are relevant for what we are looking for in this room. Now, what UDB and all other interested parties here need to do is to bring all of us to sit together and identify what Dr. Aga needs and Naro has, what Dick needs and Naro has, what Agnes needs and Naro has, and we work together to commercialize them. We have mechanization, adapted mechanization that we have developed. Chippers for those who are doing chips, pulpers for those who are doing coffee. There is a lot that we have developed. We have nutrient-enhanced products. The biofortified cassava, the biofortified sweet potatoes. I don't know how many of you in this room have seen the purple-fleshed sweet potato. Very good for most of the people in this room because it has a lot of antioxidants. But how do we take it from a farmer to a product that I'll be interested to take? Those are the things we need to be looking at. How do we work closely to make sure that the data that Naro is generating is actually reaching the person who needs to use it? And that means we need to come up with hubs, data, information, and knowledge hubs that are going to help us to do the linkage that was talked about, connect the dots. And then the information generated by Naro is used by the banks and the last man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Very interesting. Yes.
Thank you very much. Since everyone was standing, everyone also stand and stretch a little bit. I thank you very much. I thank the panel for those insightful contributions to this. The take-homes, as you said, organization. How do we organize ourselves in this disorganized environment? Of course, it brings government on this side, though I'm not a spokesperson, but I speak for the sector I present, that this, as government, we're interested in the farmer, much as we're also interested in every person who's playing in that field, in the agri-food systems. How do we organize ourselves? I think the take-home is that we must rally behind a nucleus. This is our side of we talk. A nucleus farmer, a nucleus SME, a person who's doing business at whatever level. That person, so that we can have an entry point to those other farmers. PDM started as a political thing, but it's changing shape a bit. It's also a political kind of catchword, I must say. But government is looking at how do we support that. We have to organize our farmers, who are the producers, through systems, through the SMEs, and make access to the last mile cheaper, because extension services have to be rallied along. So my take home is organization. And already in our strategic plan, we have coordination and support to cooperatives and circles. So when we bring the circles, don't think as activities or slogans, but our entry points. Because no farmer, no nucleus, no SME, no even AGA has to have outgrowers. So we need to support, and we have to rally outgrowers to AGA, so that because he already has the market, and through him and his organization, he can ensure quality. Government will set the standards. We are setting up the standards. We are doing the Food and Agriculture Authority to make sure that the standards are set. Everyone knows what is supposed to do. And then someone raised an issue, how do we set the standards? So the structure, we're saying the structure is well laid out. We have multiplicity of financing structures or channels, but we need to coordinate them and know if you're a smallholder farmer, rally along the circle, PDM, a medium person, the other structures, the largest, AGA and Ayugachi can go to UDB and get finance, so that we know which levels do we get the financing. Not everyone will run to this multiplicity of financing. Lastly, the coordination, as I think as government has changed that, we need to have these platforms. We have agro-industrialization programs. We are going with program approach, whole government approach, whereby all the stakeholders are in one kind of coordination unit, so that we address the various challenges and use those challenges. Use those platforms to address where we want to go. I very much agree to the digital platform. It's a very good one. We have the NIFAMIS for agriculture. We have the Wendy by, I think, one of our banks here. We need to use, we have the traceability that has come and is a requirement and is a must. We must use that platform to be able to reach multiplicity of the players in the system, and use the platform to be able to trace and really make agri-food systems more economic and more reachable through those systems. I thank you, and from this, I think we're in the right platform, and we thank UDB for this bringing us together to be able to address the challenges, to be able to address our strategic vision and where we want to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Collins. Ladies and gentlemen, we are running out of time. I'll request that we take 2 more questions, then close this session. Very interesting. It will continue. This engagement will continue, I promise. I see a lot of interest, and right so, but let's have those 2 questions and wrap up. By show of hands, there's someone behind you, Dorothy? Oh, okay. Okay, so quickly, less than a minute. You can let them all ask or comment. In less than a minute.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think one of the issues I wanted our... I am Johnson Kwesegabo. I am a farmer from Chiboga in cattle keeping, and I'm a chairman of farmers there. So I think I am more under Dixie jurisdiction. So one of the questions I had, one of them is, there was a policy, I think at one time in the government, of encouraging zoning, so that different areas of the country can specialize on particular products, so that it becomes very easy to target resources, specialized resources in that area, and also to make it easier to standardize and to market. I don't know where that one ended.
Thank you.
Now, number 2, a very quick one. Dick talked about fragmentation of the farmers, the inputs, also the markets. But one of the challenges is lack of, the role of regulation in terms of standardizing, and also it can work as an incentive to encourage people to come together so that they can have those facilities. But currently, the current market is really fragmented. Everybody takes on the market what he wants, and that discourages people from coming together to have those facilities which can lead to stuff, like in milk, like and maize, and so on.
Very interesting, powerful points. In less than a minute, let's restrict it to 1 comment or question, please.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Sila Besgamukama, and I am from Makerere University. Yes, I work with NEMA as a trainee in the compliance department. And my question, I think my submission is that as stakeholders, we should go deep and empower local communities, empower the people, the local farmers, so that we can establish, let me say, seed banks, community seed banks, that give improved varieties to these local farmers of crops, and even give resistant varieties, give support to these people. And also, we should establish like local-based hubs, industrial hubs, so that they can improve foods like products from these crops at a local level, not transport these crops into towns. We should provide, we should give support to farmers by establishing hubs there, industrial hubs, so that we can employ even local people at a local level in the villages because they have knowledge of what they produce. Like, let me say my example is from Rwampara, where I come from, mainly Matoke. So if you put there a hub, an industrial hub, they can learn, you put there some, let me say, professionals, they can educate them, and they get employed, and you find at least we empower local people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And while at Makerere University, I served as the college guild president, College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. I did Bachelor's of Science in Forestry, and I graduated yesterday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abel. Congratulations. The right material. Congratulations, Abel. And seed banks, that's well noted. Industrial hubs, right so. I think it feeds well in the discussion that we've had this afternoon. The last comment, I request that we close this in the interest of time, please.
I'm known by names of John Mutahi, Chairman Kajumbura Dairy Farmers Cooperative Society, and Chairman Rabuka Cooperatives. My question goes to UDB Credit Facility. I'm lucky. I mean, as a Kajumbura Dairy Farmers Cooperative Society, we received that credit facility. But my observation is that that credit facility is very difficult to get. Its requirements are not achievable by our local people because they need a collateral, and many people don't have, they can't surrender their collateral because they think they may lose it. So it is very difficult to get that money by our local farmers. Another thing is that it takes too long. We requested for this facility and we got it within a period of 1 year. It is too long to get. So to get it, you take a long time. So UDB needs us to get that facility, but it is difficult to get. That's what I'm telling you.
Thank you, Mr. John Mutahi.
What can you do to achieve
but it's
that?
good to know that you got the facility. I think we pride ourselves in that. And this discussion is real about that how do we use systems like RISE to shorten the process, make it more efficient, and get support more cooperatives like Akajumbura. And I think the comments that have been made here, farmer organization, how they are structured, sometimes we might blame UDB or other financial institutions when it's actually the level of farm organization and their preparedness to tap into that financing. Well taken comment and question, but I think this speaks well to the discussion we are having during this workshop, not only in this session. Thank you so much. I think, Dr. Nathan, you also want to ask a question. The last one is Dr. Nathan, and we close it.
Thank you, Dr. Francis. I'm not going to ask a question. I'm going to submit quickly, like advised. My name is Nathan Ruhinda. I am a farmer, but also a dairy processor. I want to discuss sustainability, but I want to focus on the middleman, the middleman question. Because when you look at the value chain as highlighted, and my focus is on a farmer and processor. Now, we need to ask ourselves, why do middlemen exist? They are existing because there is a gap that the processor is not able to close. And because of that, the middleman will thrive. And this is basically financing, quick access to money. So if a farmer like Mr. Mutahi here needs money quickly, the middleman will go and get the money. But me, the processor, I want to look at return on investment and the risk and all this. So we need to be deliberate to create the financiers here, the bankers, you need to create, a clear linkage between the processor and the farmer. But also say that but they will not actually, they will not actually support sustainability. So if we want to do sustainability here, we have to, first of all, understand, profile the challenges that will make the farmer run to a middleman other than a processor. And when the farmer is dealing with the processor, I mean, the loop is nearly closing. We are only looking at selling. So we can do much more sustainably when the farmer is dealing directly with the processor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me close this session. And I think we agree that for this very session, we needed more than 3 hours. It's been a very engaging, very interesting discussion. And also, what I like is that we've not gotten questions. It's been advisement. It's been proposals feeding into the discussion we've had this morning. In less than a minute for our
Thank you, Doctor. Mine is just to say thank you and appreciation for setting a forum where we can discuss all of these. I think that we seem to have aligned around the whole idea around offtake, aggregation, and trying to aggregate takers. I think that that's something that is something that we should continue the discussion on, and some more study and furthering and putting it into practice and executing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also take the opportunity to thank the bank leadership for this initiative, particularly the RISE platform. I want to speak on behalf of the foundation of the value chain that we are very optimistic about this initiative, and we want to call upon every stakeholder that don't let us down this time.
Thank you very much. Mine is also to thank UDB for bringing us together. And I think 2 things are standing out. We need to be coordinated. There's need for partnerships, because that's one way we shall all win. Of course, as a CELI, our commitment is, working with UBA is to aggregate capital and also driving policies that make access to finance easier for the SMEs and smallholder farmers down. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Mine is just brief. We thank you for opening up the RISE platform, because at least with one way of putting everything together so that everyone is an inclusive platform, that we don't leave out anyone behind. So much as each and every stakeholder is combing left, right, and center, RISE is trying to bring us back to the start point where we can finish well with the 5 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for this far we've come. on behalf of the university and other researchers in the house, we look forward to being a part of this initiative to the end, and also we really look forward to be part of the transformation of the Ugandan farmer and the agri-food system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put our hands together and appreciate our distinguished panelists. Let's also appreciate ourselves for being the best audience and for the good engagement. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll return it to you, Dennis, and yes, we can go back to our seats. Thank you.
Another round of applause for our panelists, the moderator, and the audience. Thank you very much. A lot of information has been shared, and we are glad that from this we've been able to identify some investment opportunities. So ladies and gentlemen, as we move from dialogue to execution, we have developed a clear pipeline activation framework that we want to follow that will guide the implementation over the next coming weeks and months. The framework is designed to ensure there is some discipline, seriousness, and real investment outcomes, not just debating ideas. And our framework has about 5 parts, which I'll go through quickly. One is we'll have targeted stakeholder engagement. We'll begin with focused high-level engagements. From each mission, we're going to identify 10 to 20 serious stakeholders. These are institutions and enterprises with demonstrated capacity, not just interest. We'll extend formal invitations referencing participation in this particular forum. We'll then convene mission roundtable forums led by mission heads who will be EXCO-led executive committees from members from the bank to appreciate real-level operational bottlenecks, missed opportunities, and scale constraints. We'll then have the next phase of challenge intake and validation. Once bottlenecks have been identified, we will structure them, of course, properly. Stakeholders will submit structured challenge statements. We'll conduct quick validation calls to test them for clarity and, of course, seriousness. Our target output at this stage will be 4 to 8 well-defined investment-grade challenges. Not a long list, but a focused, high-quality pipeline. We'll then move to the phase of pre-onboarding and screening. Access to the rice ecosystem will be deliberate. Before onboarding, stakeholders will be screened for, again, institutional track record, capacity to execute, strategic alignment with the mission objectives before we grant them access to the platform. Second last step will be in respect to onboarding now into the platform. Shortlisted stakeholders will receive access to the RISE platform only after validation, due diligence, and confirmed commitment. We'll conduct structured 2 to 3 hour onboarding sessions, provide usage guidelines and system walkthroughs, and we'll clearly set expectations on quality of inputs, realistic data, and active engagement. And at this stage, participants will formally enter their challenges into the system. The SERA AI analysis will then be conducted, and structured solution briefs will be generated. Then finally, on pipeline structuring and selection, UDB will review the outputs and shortlist the most promising opportunities. Top opportunities will move into detailed structuring. Yeah, and the shortlisted opportunities, of course, will go through our screening appraisal process, receive the requisite approvals, and eventually benefit from funding from the bank. With those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, again, we want to thank you for your active participation in this forum, and we'd like to bring this session to a close. We'll invite you to have lunch with us, and the next session is at 2 p.m. Those who can stay behind, please feel free to join it. It will be very insightful as well. I thank you.